Some design notes about simplifying a landscape. We're looking for lower care. No maintenance is a myth.
That's impossible.
Yeah.
Even with silk plants, you have to dust them once in a while.
Yeah, but when we're looking for lower care, it means making things simpler. And this bed, we were asked, what can we do here? It's raised and the soil and the mulch tumble down onto the lawn. My husband, she said, has been putting an edge around it, and he says that'll work. And yes, that will work, put an edge around it to retain it. But I see some other things going on here. I don't know how old this bed is, how long ago it was planted, but those blue star junipers that are along the edge are way too close to the edge. They're a brittle shrub. They're pretty, it's pretty color. And they're rather small as some of the junipers go, but they're brittle. The closer they are to the edge, the more likely they're just going to be constantly having their branches broken, and they're going to be hanging out over the lawn. The false cypress, that's the golden behind, is in need of being pruned properly and not sheared, because it's beginning to get all woody all the way out to the edge of the bed.
And on the bottom, it's thinning out.
Right. Needs to be pruned to where the branches can continue to grow and not all the way back. So if you're looking to make the bed easier and not tumbling down, the soil tumbling down, an edge is good. But while you're at it, think about what else is going on there. Here's another angle on the bed. That's a blue star juniper, a fairly good size juniper. They can get bigger than that.
Much bigger, actually.
And those that were planted in your bed, I'm going to assume that somebody planted them for you. They didn't realize how big they're going to get. There are a lot of landscapers that don't know how big things are going to get.
They call it a dwarf blue star juniper, and it's not.
Yeah, and this one that's in the background there is about 5 feet across. So you could put one juniper there, just keep one of them and move it closer in underneath the tree. And then you'd still have your blue and gold that's there. Or you could take that juniper out of that false cypress out of there and say, you know, I don't want to prune it all. I'd rather just be able to send somebody out with a weed whip and say, cut them down once a year, and put a colorful colored yucca in there, and you'd still have the yellow and the blue. But I wouldn't try to do something with the blue star junipers positioned the way they are. They're going to be more work than anything else, unless you make that bed bigger, and the bigger they make the bed, the more work there is to do. You could even think about putting in some evergreen subshrubs, as long as you don't mind this end of winter look. So this is beer garden sage, one of our favorite evergreens, and it was green until the ice storm, pretty much.
Yeah, ice storm.
Now we'll cut it down hard, and it'll all just fluff back out again. That's all new, just like we cut down lavender. So here's lavender in March, and lavender in March.
Gone.
Cut down. I take out whole branches all the way down to where there's a little nub of green showing. You can see one on the base over there. And the reason that I do that is because I'm growing lavender and sage, Mediterranean herbs, in a non-Mediterranean climate. It's moist and it's wet and hot here in the summertime, not dry like it is in the Mediterranean. And what you get are cankers that split up the stem of the lavender. And that space right there with wound wood around it, that's a canker, that's a fungus infection. These pinpoint infections that appear and get larger as time goes on. They've killed the roots that tried to develop on this piece that was leaning out to the side. The younger the wood that you have, the less infection that you've got. So if you put a shrub like sage or lavender around there instead of the blue star juniper, you could, again, with somebody with a weed whip, say, just go weed whip that down for me in the spring, okay? But check variety names, make sure that you're getting, so for instance, beer garden sage has a wider leaf than others do. And people don't always think of that. This is a beautiful forsythia hedge at a golf course not too far from us. And we noticed one year that they were extending the hedge, and they were putting in, I'm not sure which variety of forsythia this is, but can you see that there are 2 different colors of forsythia in the hedge? And the ones that they're putting in as the extension of the hedge are all one color. And that's going to show, it will look different. Plus they may be taller, might grow faster, might need more or less pruning one than the other. So variety name makes a difference. Do make sure you've got the variety name. Look at I miss our toads.
Yeah.
We have I dropped this information into the chat, but Gretchen was asking about, is it too muddy to move things with all this rain? And I wanted to clarify that it's not too early in the year to move things, but you do want to, take care of the conditions in your particular yard. So I'll say out loud for those not following along on the chat, we have a free webinar number 57, which is the Getting the Garden Ready for Spring. And subscribers in your library, number 102 is our 2022 update of that one. And I thought maybe just quickly, could you talk about the friable test? That's a decent quick one to see if your soil is ready to work. Is that worth going over quickly?
Sure. Friable soil is soil that is ready to work. And friability by taking a handful of soil and squeezing it in your hand and opening your hand. If I can poke that soil and it crumbles, it falls apart, then the soil is friable, it's ready to work, it's ready to be walked on. If I open it up and I poke it and the clump stays a clump, there's still too much water in it, put your snowshoes on or put your planks out there and walk in. You can work on that soil, you can dig things up and move around in it, but your walking on it is going to be a problem. Even the pressure of your spade going into it can cement particles together with that much water that won't easily come apart. So try to wait until your soil is friable if you can possibly wait.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Excellent. And just clarifying for everyone that if you subscribe with us, you will get access to that subscriber library. And then, yeah. And then, sorry.
All subscribers have access to all of the library. So and you have access for your lifetime for as long as we have the website up. So if you subscribe to season 2, but you're not with us in season 3, you have access to all of the season 2 and season 1 library there. Everything that was there when you left is yours for as long as you want to use it.
Yep. And Lou's asking, this was in a direct message, but just as long as we're promoting the repeat customers, our beloved returners, you're at a 35% discount. So that's only $225 for all of this. I want to do an infographic sort of thing, not infographic, infomercial sort of thing. So both the Michigan Beekeepers Association, is that Michelle, and Jocelyn are asking about cutting yucca completely down each year. I don't cut mine down, but what would be your guidance there?
I do cut it down. And one of our clients, who was always looking for other ways to do things, just would wrap a chain around it and then drive his car away and just pop the top off of it.
Because you can't pull the roots out of the yucca.
The yucca, what we're looking at in a yucca is the top of a bush. The thing that people think is the stem, when they go down, they say, boy, this thing goes down deep. That's the branch. The roots are way the heck down there and you're not going to hurt it. But we do break it off. It doesn't bloom as well that way, but we're not always looking for an 8-foot tall blooming stalk on a yucca. We're looking at the colorful foliage. And I hate sorting them out where I have to pick out the bad leaves and cut just the bad leaves off. I just cut the whole thing down.
Okay. And I think that's actually what we've got for the moment. I'm just checking hands. Nope, one has just popped in. Oh, ideas for removing yucca. So if you got to get rid of it, then what do we do?
I dig it out and then watch for it. There are a couple of places where I dug it out. I'm trying to think how long ago I dug it out in Betty's garden, 15 years ago. And still, every once in a while, I'll see a piece of yucca still coming back up. So I have to remember that yucca was here once upon a time, and don't look the other way, because in a year's time it can get started. That's what we've always done. We've just dug it out as much as we can and then watched for it.
And then Nancy is asking, how soon will it grow back to bloom if you decide to cut it all the way down?
Well, it could bloom that year, but it's probably going to bloom the next year. It could bloom if it's a long enough growing season and a good enough, hot enough growing season. It could bloom the same year that it comes up, but it's probably going to be the next year.
And then possibly a very, very fast yes/no question. Carol says, I have a Helmand pillar barberry. Can I cut it to the ground? And if so, now? You
can. It's that. Do take a look and see if it's grafted. I doubt that it is. It was probably grown from a cutting. But if it was grafted, make sure that you don't cut below the graft.
Below the graft, then you end up with a barberry.
Right. The upright nature of it is its variety, is what gives it that variety name. But yeah, you can cut them back.